I recently posted a couple of videos showing my year-to-date harvest. Since posting those videos, I harvested from a couple of other trees. This will be a quick video showing you the ones that didn't make it on the harvest videos. The first is my Pitomba. I purchased this tree from an online nursery less than a year ago. It arrived growing in a 3-gallon container. In early February, I planted it in the ground. This tree is listed as an evergreen, slow-growing tree. When it arrived, it was standing around 58 inches tall. And it's still about the same height now. It hasn't put on much growth since I purchased it. But it did manage to produce some fruit. In late May, it started to develop a good amount of flower buds. This is a relatively young tree, estimated to be nearly 3 years old. I didn't think it would put on any flower buds, considering that it was recently planted. A few days later, a few flower buds started to swell. And the first bud had flowered. By late July, the fruit had started to set. By this time, the fruit was darker in color and about the size of a grape. Within a few days, the fruit was lighter in color and nearly full size. Although the tree produced several flower buds, it didn't set a large amount of fruit. Only about 5 wound up setting. By early August, I harvested my first fruit. I've never grown this fruit before, so I didn't know when they were ready for picking. By this time, the color was orange and it was slightly soft to the touch, so I decided to pick one. The fruit is not that big, about the size of a small radish. It also has a fairly large seed inside. The inside flesh is similar in color to an apricot, but it's not as sweet in flavor. It does have a good taste. It's hard to describe. It's slightly sweet, but a little more on the tart side. This fruit is from the Eugenia family, related to the cherry of the Rio Grande and the Suriname cherry, but the flavor is nothing like either of them. It's a little more tart, but overall the flavor is good. Next up is my Australian finger lime. I've had this one for a little over a year, and this will be its first harvest. The fruit started to set sometime around mid-April. There are several on here that look like they're ready for picking. And it does have several that are starting to develop. I've had a few comments from viewers asking how this tree is doing and if I've harvested any fruit. I'm not familiar with the growth habits of this tree, but from research I've done, the fruit is ready for harvest when it's easily pulled off the tree. It has several that are deep green in color and good size, so I think I'll give this one here a try. As you can see, it wasn't too difficult to come off, so hopefully this one will be ripe. After picking this one, I noticed that it has a lighter color on the back and it's not dark in color all the way through, so it might not be quite ready. We'll give it a taste anyways to see what it flavors like. Here it is with a quarter next to it so you can get a better idea of the size. This is what they look like inside. I've heard this fruit described as citrus caviar. Here's a pic where you can see why. When you squeeze the fruit in between your fingers, all these tiny spheres come out. The taste is similar to a lime, although not quite as sour. I don't see this as something you would eat by itself. It would probably go good as a garnish on a dish, but would probably be best served as in a beverage. My next tree is this one here, the Barbados Acerola Cherry tree. I've had this tree for just over a year, and this is its first harvest. In mid-July, it started to flower. Within a few days, it started to develop fruit. By the end of July, some of the fruit had begun to change color, going from green to a red-orange. By early August, the first fruit was harvested. By this time, the cherry had changed color to a deep red. The inside flesh was lighter in color. It had 3 small seeds. The flavor was slightly tart. From research I've done, the fruit is supposed to have several health benefits, including high antioxidant properties, and it contains one of the highest content levels of vitamin C that is derived from a plant. This next plant is my goji berry, also known as a wolfberry. This is the Phoenix Tears variety. I purchased it around 6 months ago. It was received in dormant condition with minimal branching. It was basically just a whip when it was received. It was subsequently transplanted to a 10-gallon grow bag. About a month after transplanting, it put on a good amount of growth and was looking very healthy. Sometime around early May, I noticed it was struggling. The leaves had turned to a yellowish color and did not look healthy at all. I thought it might not be getting enough sunlight, so I moved it to another area with a little more sun exposure. By mid-July, it had not improved. I did some research and found that these plants require a high alkaline soil mix with the recommended pH level somewhere between 6.8 and 8.1. I tested the soil and found that it was at 6, so I decided to add some lime to try and raise the pH. A few weeks later, the plant was still looking stressed, but a few leaves were showing a little improvement. They were not quite as pale as before, and it had started to flower. By the first week in August, the plant was still flowering and showing signs of definite improvement. It had put out new growth with nice, healthy green leaves. Even some of the older leaves were showing signs of improvement. The plant was still putting out flower buds. And some of the first blooms had developed fruit. A few days later, I noticed the first berry was starting to change color and nearly ready for harvest. By the second week of August, I decided to harvest the first berry. It was not very big. It was much smaller than others I've seen. The inside was soft, filled with tiny seeds. The taste was rather bland. It had a slight hint of sweet flavor, but more on the tart side. I guess it can best be described as what a bell pepper would taste like without the crunch and the sour aftertaste. I've also read that this fruit can be dried, so I'll probably give that a try. Maybe dried it'll taste better, but eaten fresh, it's definitely not among the best tasting. It is supposed to be healthy though. If you go online, you'll find all kinds of health claims, from helping to improve your immune system to stabilizing blood, sugar, and cholesterol levels. There are even some claims that it helps fight cancer. I'm not sure how accurate all these claims are, but it is said to contain vitamin C, fiber, iron, vitamin A, zinc, and antioxidants. So I imagine it must have at least some health benefits. Hopefully the fruit off this plant will improve as it matures and the flavor will be much better. Well, that'll be it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. Please hit the like button and consider subscribing. Until next video, Stay safe, grow your own, and thank you for watching.